Every day, a struggle for survival plays out across Africa. Predators binge on the dead. And nature's undertakers circle above, waiting for their chance. When the mighty fall, an army descends to devour what others leave behind. For they too must nurture their precious families. This is the cleanup crew of Africa. The first rays of morning break through the clouds over the ancient cliffs of the Waterberg in South Africa's Marikele National Park. Even though a winter chill hangs in the air, the cliffs are alive with birds. Cape vultures from the largest colony in Africa soar gracefully along the sheer rock faces. It's breeding season. Here, nearly 3,000 feet above the ground, the birds and their fragile eggs are safe from predators such as mongooses. It's also shady, sheltering the birds from the solar onslaught, which can be severe even during winter. This is the most stressful time of the year. Parents face the daunting challenge of finding enough food to sustain themselves, while sharing incubating duties at the nest. Cape vultures are faithfully monogamous, usually pairing for life. Couples share the workload equally and will continue to do so for the next 6 months, until their fledgling chick takes to the air for itself. Even then, juveniles depend on parents to help them find food until they're more than a year old. Vultures are birds of prey, but they're unlike any other raptors, such as kestrels, eagles, and their kin, which are all lethal hunters. Vultures never kill. They are the only vertebrates that rely completely on scavenging for food. "23 species occur around the world, soaring above every continent, with the exception of Antarctica and Australia. 9 of these live in Africa. Most congregate on wide-open savannas teeming with great herds, while others, such as rupels and bearded vultures, patrol the craggy mountains that run almost the length of the eastern side of the continent. From the Drakensberg escarpment in the south to the rarefied reaches of Ethiopia's high Simien Mountains in the north. Wherever they spread their wings, vultures are critical cogs in the food webs of their environments, clearing up dead and decaying flesh before it can spread disease. At the foot of the Waterberg's mountains, beneath the nesting vultures, the savanna animals are also suffering. But not because they're breeding. They're locked in the grips of winter. This is the dry season, and food is in short supply for grazers and browsers. Most trees have dropped their leaves to preserve the little water they draw from the parched earth. Those that retain their foliage are doing everything in their power to prevent their leaves from being eaten. They've loaded their leaves with chemicals called tannins. These make the leaves less palatable and harder for animals such as this tsessebe antelope to digest. This winter is particularly severe. No rain has fallen for months, and only the dwindling waterholes provide refuge. While healthy young animals take the challenging conditions in their stride, one old-timer is feeling the pinch. Nearby, a small pride of lions is lazing about in the shade. In contrast to the herbivores, the challenging dry season is creating a favorable hunting ground for them. The prey animals are weak, their senses dulled by lack of food. They succumb easily. So happy days are here for the cats as they revel in the glut of food. The old giraffe is dead. It's only been a matter of hours, but already the stomach gases have bloated the carcass. The trapped gas forcefully vomited the stomach contents into the dusty surroundings. Flies are quick to arrive. They're the first opportunists to appear. A small flock of red-billed oxpeckers descends to feast on engorged ticks. Ordinarily, oxpeckers avoid corpses, unless they're very fresh. For now, they have the carcass to themselves. It won't be long, however, before the rest of the cleanup crew arrives. The sun means good flying conditions, with thermal updrafts pretty much guaranteed. The breeding vultures take the opportunity to change guard on the nest. This female's been patient for almost 18 hours. Although she's not been active at the nest, she still needs to eat to fuel her metabolism and maintain her body temperature. It's cool at this altitude on the shady cliffs. She looks around patiently, eagerly scanning the sky for her partner. To breed successfully, both parents must work in unison. It's a lifelong commitment. Nearby, another male returns to fulfill his obligations at the nest. But she's still waiting. With a brief flutter of feathers, his hungry partner takes to the wing in search of food. Vultures are amongst the biggest birds, some species tipping the scales at more than 30 pounds. While their size benefits them in numerous ways, it also means they need help taking off. This makes the Cape's cliffside home a handy launch pad. Winds striking the cliff are deflected upwards, creating updrafts that help the giant birds soar without burning too much fuel. Vultures keep flapping to a minimum, preferring to use any assistance they can garner from their aerial environment. The birds gain lift by repeatedly crossing the boundaries between air pockets. Biologists refer to this as dynamic soaring. And vultures are the masters. It's even been suggested that they can see thermals in the air around them. When they find good lift, vultures spiral into it, using the rising air to climb thousands of feet into the heavens. From there, they head off in search of the dead and dying. Capable of cross-country marathons in excess of 400 miles. Their size enables them to soar over huge distances between isolated pockets of food, while relying on substantial body reserves between these sporadic feasts. By comparison, actively hunting predators are able to pursue a relatively predictable source of food. The male finally returns to his patiently waiting partner. He'll now take over care of their single precious egg. Day in, day out, for the next 5 weeks, the routine won't change. He slowly settles into his shift. Generally, there's only one chance to breed a season, so every effort is made to ensure their lone youngster survives. Around the diminishing waterhole, more and more animals congregate, drawn by the only water for miles around. It's been 2 days since the giant fell. Flies aren't the only ones who've located the treasure trove. The torn flesh belies the presence of another visitor. A lone hyena paid a fleeting visit during the night to feed on the soft underbelly. But he didn't stay long. The resident lion pride in this area guards its home ruthlessly. They've already killed 4 hyenas in the last 6 months. There's little love lost between these rival carnivores. With enough altitude gained, the vultures peel off, scanning the earth below for fresh kills. Generally, they're not fussy. Any carcass will do, from rhinos to rabbits. They have razor-sharp eyesight, 8 times better than humans. It's like using a pair of binoculars to scan the landscape below. During flight, vultures scan at an angle slightly ahead and below them. But they have a critical blind spot directly in front. This can have devastating consequences in a rapidly changing world. Human hazards, such as power lines and wind turbines, now pose a major threat. But here, they've only got eyes for food. As the vultures scan the ground for dead animals, they also keep careful tabs on each other. If one drops to the ground, it's a clue to everyone. And a sky full of circling vultures is sure sign there's a carcass. They've found the dead giraffe. A black-backed jackal has also found the carcass, but he won't stand his ground against the coming storm. The feast begins. But giraffes have tough hides. So the early birds need to target soft spots. One drawback of a scavenging lifestyle is that food is both unpredictable and in limited supply. This means that when an opportunity presents itself, there's no standing back. A dead giraffe is a huge meal. It will fill plenty of gizzards. But competition is intense. A marabou stork joins the feeding frenzy, attracted by all the activity. These huge birds are part-time scavengers, and the giraffe is too good an opportunity to miss. remain aloof, preferring to fight each other over scraps stolen from their quarrelsome colleagues rather than joining the scrum. In as little as 5 minutes, the vultures can fill themselves with enough food to last for 2 or 3 days. Their digestive system is incredible at utilizing even the poorest cuts. Bone, skin, sinew are all processed by their highly acidic stomach juices. This acid bath even kills the microorganisms that thrive in decaying flesh. Rotten meat that would strike down the average human with botulism is eaten with impunity. Having wolfed down as much as possible, up to 20% of its body weight, this one waddles off. The overstuffed birds spread their wings with their backs to the sun, using its warmth to help them digest their gluttonous meals. By the end of the day, they've made a severe dent in the giraffe. The vultures are eating the carcass from the inside out. But there's lots of meat still locked under impenetrable hide. As the sun sets, the vultures disperse to their overnight roosts. Dark shadows soon adorn the nearby trees, like macabre Christmas decorations. The feast will continue in the morning. But the vultures aren't alone. Lions may be the king of beasts, but like most monarchs, they're not above pilfering the produce of the masses. Having caught wind of the vulture feast and the surroundings, the pride has come over to investigate. The dead giraffe is an easy meal, as long as the lions find the carcass early enough. In warmer climates, the rotting flesh becomes toxic with botulism in a matter of weeks. The scavengers wake to the unwanted company. A pair of hooded vultures looks on in dismay. the pride of 6 gorges itself. While the vultures are banished from the table. Usually, dominant males jealously guard their meals. But the giraffe is large enough for him to tolerate the rest of the family dining alongside him. The members of his pride have had their fill. And the undertakers, mournfully gathering around, look on expectantly. But he continues to guard his spoils. With tummies bulging, the lions take cover in the shade as the day heats up. When they move away, the vultures close in. It's a game of cat and mouse. Left to their own devices, vultures will devour this carcass in the time it takes for even the quickest catnap. So the lions are sleeping with one eye open. There's nothing for it but to wait and pick on any scraps that have fallen from the royal table. Throughout the day, the lions continue to guard their bounty. A lion can eat as much as 25 pounds of meat in a sitting. And this giraffe means the pride won't need to hunt for a few days. Still, the cleanup crew must wait. For now, the pressure is off, but even so, the male is not generous. Having eaten their fill, the cats retreat to sleep off their meal. Throughout Africa, many species of vulture are in sharp decline. They're some of the most endangered birds on the continent, victims of habitat destruction, food shortages, and poaching for traditional medicine. Below the Marrakele cliffs, a cold wind blows through the prone feathers of a dead vulture. There are no maggots, a sure sign that she was poisoned. The toxin even kills the flies. Livestock farmers often leave carcasses laced with poison to kill unwanted predators such as jackals and hyenas. What's more, with the recent increase in rhino poaching, there is a threat from an even more sinister quarter. Rhino poachers seeking to hide their activities from anti-poaching patrols are now intentionally poisoning vultures. Vultures are quick to gather at the crime scenes, alerting authorities. So the poachers lace the rhino carcasses with poison to kill off the telltale scavengers. Vultures are unfortunate bystanders in this senseless, indiscriminate war. The new day holds promise for the waiting vultures. The lions have dismembered the giraffe, ultimately benefiting the birds. They quickly pounce on a discarded limb. Hooded vultures are there first. Then the larger white-backed and cape flock to the scene. But they avoid the main carcass itself. It still pays to be careful when lions could be near. One brave individual creeps closer. It seems the coast is clear. Still no lions. One by one, they venture in. Then the masses descend, realizing the carcass is theirs once more. Now it's a frantic squabble to eat what little remains. Their strong beaks are specially designed to pick at sinews and remove meat from bones. Bone fragments created by the large crushing jaws of the predators are prime targets, loaded with valuable calcium. They're especially important for laying birds, which need the mineral to make strong eggs, and for feeding their youngsters. Calcium also builds the strong, light bones needed for flight. Two lappet-faced vultures, one of the largest species in Africa, have also joined the fray. Their powerful bills make quick work of the tough hide. Although they're much larger than Cape and white-backed vultures, the sheer numbers of these smaller species muscle them out. As the amount of meat left on the giraffe rapidly diminishes, it becomes every vulture for itself. Dominant birds try to muscle others out of the way, goose-stepping and spreading their wings to intimidate rivals. It's now survival of the fittest. Soon there's little left of the majestic giraffe that once strode purposefully across this landscape. Its skin hangs as a tired glove, loosely fitting a withered skeleton. All that remains are a few maggots. and the flies still buzzing around the leftovers. But even they are slowly drifting away in search of the next meal. The cleanup crew has done its job, preventing the carcass from rotting and spreading disease. Over time, the bones will slowly decompose back into the dust that gave them birth, feeding the trees and grasses that will return to this landscape with the next rains. Dust to dust, as the great wheel of life turns on the wide open savannas of Africa.